Welcome into the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. My name is Rob Sanders. Happy to be here with you on a Friday afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, step back for a minute. Breathe in that great deep air and realize we are starting freaking baseball season in an hour. The Clemson Tigers, the South Carolina Gamecocks, insert your team here. They all will be playing some baseball this weekend. I'm jacked up for baseball season, but we're going to my co-host here with me on Friday. A guy that's on the all-decade team for the NFL in the 90s, who just had a birthday, his 39th, by the way.
My 39th, yes.
Welcome into the program, Levon Kirkland. Levon, what's up, buddy?
Oh, man, all is good. Thank you so much for telling me happy birthday. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I hope I look as good as you when I turn 39.
Well, you can. Yeah, you can. It's a lot of hard work, though.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's great to have Levon in studio with us today. And Levon's joining us today. We're going to talk about a lot of different things, including some stuff about the combine coming up and some other little things that are out there. It's going to be a good show today here on the Rundown. I want to start, though, with the big news in college football. ESPN reports today that we are not going to have college football playoff expansion, Levon.
Man.
You think that takes away from it?
No, it doesn't. I mean, I think everybody is pretty cool with the playoff system as it is. You know, you got a few people out there who want more teams. I want more teams because, quite frankly, I just want to see more football. But I'm fine with it, though, if there's only 4 teams in it.
Yeah, but look, as far as the 4 teams that are in it, though, if we go any further than that, I mean, do you want to watch a lot of games that are blowouts?
Yeah, like I stated before, I don't mind seeing some blowouts, but I can understand what you're, like I said, I can understand where your point of view comes into play. I mean, you don't want to see garbage, of course.
No.
You don't want to see that. So I understand that. But they're talking about 12 teams, right? If they're going to expand it.
8 to 12. I mean, there's 2 different numbers.
Yeah.
There.
You get
I think 16. I think 16 is too much.
Yeah, no question.
But I mean, if you're going to expand, I'm at the point now where I think 4 is great because I know those 4 games, for the most part, you're going to have the absolute cream of the crop.
Yeah, no question.
But if we have 8, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you saw it with like Michigan versus Georgia.
Yeah.
Well, Michigan was like supposed to be one of the top 4 teams, and they got mollywopped. So you don't want.
That's a term I've never heard. Mollywopped. Explain that to me.
Yeah. Just you have to look it up.
I
saw it from a movie.
I wonder if I have to dump that off the air. I don't know if that'll get me in trouble with the FCC or not.
I hope it doesn't.
I
don't think it will.
I don't think it will. Anyway, look up mollywopped, but that's a Levon Kirklandism there.
That means you're getting crushed.
Crushed. That's basically what happened.
Yeah, they got crushed.
Yeah.
And they were number 4.
Yeah, so and they were a legitimate number 4. I mean,
they
won the
4.
Big Ten. They beat Ohio State.
Yeah, very soundly.
So, yeah,
everybody thought they had a chance, with their defense, but they just got outclassed. And I'm sure that's what you'll probably see more so of. If you get that 12, you're going to see some beatings going on.
Began Megan joining the show and contributing absolutely nothing, but says they could expand to 64 and Clemson wouldn't get in anytime soon.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that is a Florida Gator type pick from like Hollywood, man, who went 1-14 against the Georgia Bulldogs this year. But I guess those 2 are buddies. But anyway, yeah, I like the idea of 4, but I mean, I guess I can be convinced of 8, but I think 12 is just a little bit silly. And I mean, you cheapen the playoffs, in my opinion, if you have more teams in it.
And if I'm a top team that really have a legitimate chance of winning the championship, you're gonna be weary about playing a underdog team that maybe your starting quarterback gets hurt that first round or something like that, or your starting linebacker, somebody who's essentially very important to your team. You don't want them to go out there and play, get hurt, and now you don't have them for the most important game of the year. So right. I can see where if you're a top team, you're a little bit concerned about that.
Well, but in some aspects, though, if you do expand, then there's going to be, I think that there's a lot of, and I use the term bias, but there's a lot of bias that goes into some of this stuff where you have a set group of people that will say, look, a 2-loss SEC team is better than a than a one-loss Big Ten champion. There'll be people that think that, and it's out there. But if you have the 8 spots, it may make some schools' schedule a little bit tougher so that they have a better resume.
Yeah, no question. There have to be some adjustments on the scheduling side of it. And but how would you justify putting a 2-loss SEC team in there over a team who's only lost 1? I think that's the trouble. And I know the SEC has been the conference, throughout the years, but I would find it very difficult to justify that.
Yeah, but they're out there.
There's some,
they're out there. There are folks out there that feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, though, I also think if we have the expansion, that maybe that'll prod Notre Dame to get into the mix. So, you know what? Maybe I should join a conference.
Notre Dame knows it doesn't have to do that.
I know, but the thing is, though, is that NBC, it's a game of numbers. Would you agree?
Yeah,
everything comes back down to money.
Yeah.
And I think if we look at it from this perspective of NBC looks, and when their contract comes up, are they going to say, do we really get the most bang for our buck out of Notre Dame, or should we take that money and try to get a bigger footprint into college football with going after somebody else?
I think that's the idea, though. That really is. If you look at Notre Dame, they're kind of that team every 4 years or so. They're very good, and then they kind of go back down to being just a decent team. So maybe you come off them if you're NBC. And maybe you can do something like maybe you get a contract with a conference.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that works out. It's going to be interesting either way. If you want to call in on that, 803-978-1832. I will take baseball questions today, and I've got a baseball question for Levon.
You got a baseball question for me?
I do, because I know that you were a multi-talented guy. You didn't play baseball in high school,
yeah,
right?
Because I had to run track. I wanted to play baseball, though.
Of course.
Yes.
Well, if you played baseball, would you have pitched, or would you have been a catcher? Which one would you have done?
Ooh, I think I would have been maybe.
You could have pitched too if you wanted to.
No, I couldn't have pitched, but I probably would have been either outfield, first base, something like that.
Yeah, but I ask you this baseball question because there's been some footage roaming around of DJ Uiagalelei hitting some homers. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that.
He was at Tiger baseball practice out there hitting some homers. And as fragile as he was at last season, we heard that he was injured and stuff like that. I don't know if I want him out there taking shots.
No, I don't want him out there either, but kids will be kids, man, and they want to do multiple things. They play baseball in high school. They still want to take a swing at it. They still want to shoot basketball. So I don't know if you take away his freedom, but you kind of give him maybe a stern talk to about playing other sports.
Allegedly just had surgery not too long ago.
On his knee, right?
Yeah, and you're out there swinging and
twisting
hitting balls out of Doug Kingsmore. I don't know if I'm buying that, man.
Yeah, if I'm Dabo Swinney, I'm giving him a talk. About maybe shutting that down until you get healthy.
Get really healthy.
Uh-huh.
Brandon with a question online. He says the Undertaker is going into the Hall of Fame this year, which is well deserved. He wants to know if you and I are fans of the Undertaker. Of course, I am.
Yeah, I like the Undertaker when he was. What was he called?
Mean Mark Callis.
Mean Mark Callis. Yeah,
big redheaded
guy. Really has a pretty interesting history as far as how he got into wrestling and all that, from basketball to, training. I forgot the guy he trained with.
Yeah.
But he was the last guy standing, and he ends up doing a terrific job. That going to the WWF at the time was big for him.
All right. So I do have a couple of questions for you about the Super Bowl that I want to bring up. And
Sure.
I tell you what, here's the thing that I took away from it after the game was over. Man, Cincinnati's offensive line is hot dog water terrible.
Yeah,
I looked them up on Pro Football Focus. They were ranked 28th in the NFL.
Yeah. That's probably the worst offensive line that's ever played in the Super Bowl.
That's a solid
to give up. They gave up 7 sacks to the Titans early in the playoff. They seem to kind of rebound against Kansas City, didn't give up that much. But, man, you give up 9 interceptions.
9 sacks.
9 sacks, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
9 sacks in the Super Bowl, that offensive line is going to be taken apart. They're not going to keep those guys for next year.
Well, and Burrow got injured again.
Yes, he did.
Something to his knee. We don't know the whole extent of it.
Right.
But because of that offensive line, he's had to have probably 2 knee surgeries because they're probably going to do something to clean it up.
Yeah.
And I know that getting Jamar Chase was a big deal, and you got a dynamic playmaker, but they've got to do something with that offensive line or his career is going to be short.
Yeah, they either have to go into free agency and try to plug in some pieces, for the present future. But I think they're going to have to really go in the draft and see who they can get and really build it because he's not going to survive too many. I forgot how many sacks they gave up this year, 50-something sacks.
I mean, he was hit at least, I think it was at least 3 times every game as far as sacks. That's not counting knockdowns and hurries and everything else.
Right, yeah. And that's amazing because, they protect the quarterback so much in this league nowadays that for him to get hit that much, I mean, it's amazing. And as a GM, you have to, absolutely have to address that because if you don't, he won't be around long enough. He won't. He'll be out after his 6th year or so.
Yeah, and he's a dynamic player, one of the young guns in the NFL right now. One of the guys that's supposed to be taking over for the guys that are leaving, and Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers eventually. I mean, he's in that class with Pat Mahomes and those guys.
Yeah.
And Cincinnati has found their quarterback that can lead them, but if they don't start protecting him, it's going to be bad. I mean, it really is.
It's really going to be bad. And in the NFL, having that franchise quarterback is so, so important.
You almost have to have a franchise left tackle.
Yeah, you better. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if not, you're going to have a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think really you better have 2 tackles that are pretty good and a center that's pretty good too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you want it all to be good, but I mean, if you had to make your choice, you definitely got to get that left tackle.
Got to. But speaking of the champions, the Rams, Aaron Donald came back and said, "Hey, let's run it back." And then he kind of moonwalked it back a little bit and said, "Look, we'll come back as long as you bring back Beckham, who tore his ACL, and the other pass rusher whose name slips my mind, Von Miller. Yeah, he said, "Bring those 2 back, and I'll come back." And I'm like,
they probably maybe want to get rid of Beckham. He was just a piece of the puzzle for this year. And you probably maybe want to get rid of Von Miller as well because they were just pieces, pieces of the puzzle that helped them win the championship this year. But as they get older, are they going to be the same guys that you want in there? So I think that's a question mark.
Well, but Donald's in his 30s. So
he still got it though.
And I get that.
Yeah.
But how many years has he still got it? Maybe 2?
Maybe 2 at this level, at a very high level.
Right.
And then he probably, if he could, keep going for another 3 or maybe 3 years after that.
I just think that if they bring those guys back, they're going to be the Lakers of the NFL with veterans all over the place.
And veterans, they get old, man. They don't practice as much. They don't have the same energy. Like I said, those 2 guys were just pieces of the puzzle for this year to get them over the hump.
Big Barney Ross says, "I'm a Tom Brady hater." I'm not a Tom Brady hater. Tom Brady's a great quarterback. Someone was talking about about Matt Stafford and how he had a great season.
Yes.
The talk is, does he have an opportunity to possibly make his way to the Hall of Fame?
Jeez, they want to give it to him.
He has a losing record overall as a quarterback, and he's won 47% of his games.
Yeah, but the thing is, too, he won that Super Bowl. And for a quarterback, when you're a dynamic guy and you win a Super Bowl, that's a big notch on your belt. So I think he's going to. I think if he has another good run, maybe not even go to the Super Bowl, but he has another good run with the Rams, they're going to put him in.
I love how you look back, though, and some of those Detroit teams that he won 6 games with or whatever.
Right.
How piss poor is that organization?
It's bad.
It's bad.
It's really bad, but I think teams go through those kind of, they're bad and then they kind of come up and then they average. They have been bad for a very, very long time.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, we got to take a quick break in a moment, but Levon Kirkland joins us here in a little bit. David Penn from Das Boot joins us at 3:30 today. We're going to preview for a moment the South Carolina LSU game, and he's going to talk to us about what's going on with the LSU program.
Okay.
You know, new head coach there. We'll get the temperature of the LSU fan base
Sounds
here
good.
in a moment. You're listening to The Rundown. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. Hey, you guys rock over there. Thanks for joining us on a Friday. Big Barney Ross says Winter Olympics. I have a swimmer's body. A whale. Oh, wait. Damn it, Big Barney Ross. You're killing me, brother. Yeah, thank you guys for donating to the charity. We're doing the raffle tickets for the game for the baseball game at Segra Park. If you guys want to get involved with that, message me on Twitter. It's $10 a ticket, and if you win, you get 2 seats, 8 rows up behind the plate at Segra Park, South Carolina and Clemson on March the 5th. Thanks to Beg and Megan and Big Barney Ross for both buying some tickets. You guys are awesome, and we'll see if you win. We're going to put it on the big wheel to decide and broadcast that live on the show. It's going to be fun. Beg and Megan, if you win, and I know you're a Georgia fan, if you win, I will get a Georgia t-shirt and put it in your seat, and we'll just have you there in absentia. Or you could just drive your happy butt down here and go to the game. It's not like you do anything on the weekends besides get drunk anyway. All right. Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeart Radio app. Levon Kirkland joining us today. You know, we talked a little bit about the Super Bowl. And now the next big thing, I mean, we've got spring practice coming up, and I want to get into some of that with you, but we've also got the combine coming up.
Yes.
Now, you went to the combine, right?
Yes, I did.
Was it in Baltimore, or where was it?
It was in Indianapolis.
Oh, it was in Indianapolis. Okay.
Yes.
I just think of the combine as just a meat market. Is that pretty much what it boils down to? Everybody running around in their drawers?
Is exactly what it is. It's a meat market. And it's the funny thing is, as a young student athlete in college, you couldn't wait to go to the combine because it seemed like it put you in a very elite class. And once you get there, for me, I absolutely hated the combine.
No, but I mean, which part did you hate? I mean, the working out, I would think would suck because you're out there just running around and all that. But the interviews, I mean, you're a guy that doesn't have a problem talking with folks.
Right. I know.
You seem like that would be something you'd be good at.
The interviews wasn't really the bad part for me. It was when they started pulling and poking you, you know, from their medical staffs. You know, all these medical staffs are just pulling on you, just, you know, working your knees, making sure that you're fit to go into the NFL. And then I really didn't, and I don't think it's really necessary, the whole, I'm going to take off my shirt and I'm going to turn to the left, I'm going to turn to the right. I didn't like that at all because I don't think it's really necessary to do, especially in this time where guys are having their pro day. If I'm a first round pick, a sure one, I'm not going to the combines. You'll see me on my pro day.
Yeah, but do you think that gives off the vibe that you're not a guy that wants to do business in theory?
Maybe it does for some people, but a lot of people will understand. A lot of organizations will get it. I mean, if a guy is a surefire number one pick, I mean, do you have to really see him at the combine? You don't. You can just wait, see him at his pro day. You can interview the guy. I understand for a guy who is really searching for his place as far as the draft is concerned, and he has to make a mark, then yeah, I get that. But I didn't really like the combine because of the way the whole shirt off thing was just kind of totally embarrassing.
And it's in front of everybody. So, I mean, it really is like a stock.
I mean, it's in front of everybody, and I saw it from a coaching perspective, and I have to be quite honest. I love the NFL, but that part, it just looked like a bunch of herd out there.
It's pretty crazy. Well, on the other end, though, when you went to another NFL team,
right?
Did you have to go through the same sort of physical, make sure your knees are right and all of that?
Man,
I mean, it's kind of the same thing, but I guess you don't have the audience, right?
Yeah, you do go through, they're going to really check you out as far as physically is concerned. They're going to give you a medical thing, but you don't have to do all like the combine stuff, especially if you are an established guy. They're not going to they're not going to make you run through hoops because they already know what you can bring to the table. But if you're a guy that's been, not quite a made man, just kind of a guy who's been a journeyman through the NFL, they may test you, they may work you out. But I didn't have to work. The teams I went to, I didn't have to work out at all.
They were just like, all right, get it, right?
Yeah, they're just like, you're LeVon Kirkland. We know what you bring to the table. We're just going to check and see if you're medically clear to do anything, but you don't have to try out. But there's some guys that do have to try out, and that must suck for an older man to have to try out, even though he's proven himself and he's been in the league. But if you're not an established guy, they'll probably just work you out. They have to.
So the NFL is definitely a business.
It's a cold business too, but it's definitely a business.
I think about the NFL and you've heard the stuff with we're at this point now where they call it the not for long league, but Todd Gurley is a perfect example of the NFL as a not for long league. Todd Gurley is what? He's 27 years old.
He's only 27,
and he's considered washed up because of
Well, for a running back, if you get that knee hurt or something like that, then that's it for you.
All right, let's take a quick call before we go to a break here on the rundown. 803-978-1832. David Penn from Das Boot joins us. We're going to take the temperature of the LSU football program and a little South Carolina LSU basketball. Let's go out to the phones. Welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
Hey, Rob. This is Scott from Hartsville. How you going?
Hey,
Scott.
Hartsville.
Man,
not too far from Lamar, South Carolina.
No, not far at all. Silver Foxes.
Yeah, man.
I went by the stadium the other day and I saw all the work going on and I saw your name on the facade. How does that feel when you get that call and they're going to put it up there?
It's amazing. It really is. I was really shocked that I got my name. I got that call. Actually, what I did was I called him back to make sure that they had the right guy.
Yeah, it wasn't me goofing on you.
Right. It wasn't some guy playing a prank. It was Tim Beret who called me, and I called him back to see if he was joking with me. But then I took it a little further. I got a friend of mine to call him as well to make sure that it was legit. And she told me that it was, and I was like, cool. And I was so excited. I didn't even really know what to do. I was so excited. I didn't know what to do. I was just all over the place.
How did they actually go through deciding who makes it?
Wow. I think it's like you have to have so many votes. Like you have to have like 12 votes, and I think it's like the AD and some different people that vote for it.
Yeah, but
you have to graduate. You have to be a graduate.
Yeah, and which is why our Hall of Famer from Clemson is not in the Ring of Honor right now.
Yeah,
because he's got to finish his degree.
You got to finish his degree, and then also it's a little bit more than just football. It's kind of how you have represented the university. So it's the highest award you can get for a student athlete. So there's been a lot of great football players that have played at Clemson University, but to have your name up there, it's just a little bit more special. So I'm really cool about that. But I always tell people the one thing I really love is our last name, Kirkland, because of my mother and my father and what they did for our families to get all those kids to go to college and to graduate. So, I'm really proud because of my family. My family's name is going to be up there forever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations, man. It couldn't happen to a better Clemson man. And I love watching you play. Love watching you play for the Steelers. Thanks for taking my call.
Appreciate it, man. Have a good day.
Oh, man, that was nice.
Yeah. Everybody loves Levon, by the way.
Not everybody.
I took Levon to lunch a couple of weeks ago, and we about couldn't damn eat because everybody's wanting to talk to Levon and everything else, and he handled it like a statesman and managed to get his food in and everything else, which was really cool. But all right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about South Carolina and LSU with David Penn from Das Boot, dasboot.com. And he will enlighten us to what's going on with their basketball program. And we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on with the football program, too, with the new head coach. More of the rundown when we come back. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. All right, stand by, guys. Let me get this guy on the phone. Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. I'm Rob Sanders. Levon Kirkland sits across the room from me here. We're going to go down to the land of Louisiana. I mean, we bought it with the Louisiana Purchase, and they give us the LSU football program as well as several other great things. Let's welcome into the program my friend David Penn. Of course, he works with DeBoot Sports. There we go. And he's going to cover the basketball game this weekend with LSU and South Carolina. David, welcome to the program.
How's it going, Rob?
Hey, appreciate you spending some time with us today, man. Look, LSU kind of started the season and they were not very good. Then all of a sudden they get a dynamic playmaker back, and they're looking like they're going to be one of the better teams in the SEC. What's the deal down there in Baton Rouge with this basketball team as they head into Columbia?
I think that the expectations were reasonably high going into the season based upon what happened last season, making the tournament. And I think they made it to the round of 32. Then they got transferred. They got Tari Eason in, who's a pretty dynamic forward, a stretch big for you. And then Xavier Pinson, your senior at guard. Everything kind of flows through him. As you mentioned, he was dealt with a little bit of an injury. But I mean, as covering LSU and watching them get off to a 12-0 start, and then now they're only a game above 500 in conference play, so they dealt with their injuries, but now they're healthy again. So we'll see what happens. It'll be an interesting game in Columbia this weekend.
So LSU comes into this game. They've been pretty hot. I think they've won 5 in a row, something like that. 3 in a row, yeah. So, but they've been playing a lot better basketball, looking more intimidating as they go. But they're getting a South Carolina team that's won a couple of games in a row, and maybe the Gamecocks are finding their footing, or it could be shallow ground because they played 2 teams in the SEC that are near the bottom. I mean, we're going to find out tomorrow. Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree. And so the interesting thing to watch for this game is how LSU's guards are able to pressure South Carolina's guards, because LSU plays a press. It's going to go for the entire length of the game. They're going to do their best to harass Stevenson and I'm sorry, the other player's name escapes me.
Yeah,
it's coming.
Yeah,
but so they're going to harass the guards, Pinson and Murray, but there are some positives for South Carolina that LSU's going to have to figure out how to counteract. Like, they're 8th in the country this year on the offensive glass. So how does Darius Days and Tara Eason get in there and battle with Levick? So there's some things to watch, and it's kind of interesting reading things about the game and what people's perceptions are of the game, because to me the teams are similar.
Right.
LSU's 7-6 in conference play, and South Carolina 6-7. So we're not talking about a huge difference in records. I think just the big difference was how LSU started the season and how they might be looking right now with that Xavier Pinson is back.
Well, we'll have to see how that matchup goes. David Penn from DeBoot Sports joining us here on the program. Talk a little bit about the matchup with South Carolina and LSU. I want to pivot to football for a minute. Brian Kelly has made his way down to Louisiana, and I mean, it seems like when he crossed the border, he got a Southern accent. I don't know how the hell that happened, but you guys issue those at the gate down there? What's going on with that?
As soon as you cross the state line, I mean, everybody knows that once you enter Louisiana, you gain the ability to speak in a Cajun accent. You automatically know how to peel crawfish.
Wait! Please tell me there's video of him peeling crawfish. There's got to be video of that. Is. Oh, that would be great.
There's a video of that. That will gain millions of views.
Well, there is video of him. We want to use the term dancing with recruits in videos. I mean, how's that going over with the fan base?
Controllably with high-level recruits. Can we go with that?
He looks terrible. The next time you go into a press conference, let him know that. Knock that off. Everyone's laughing at you. What's wrong with you, man? I
think everybody has. Lane Kiffin's even taking shots at him on Twitter.
But how does the LSU fan base taking this? Because it's a completely different. It's a completely different coach than Coach Orgeron was.
Oh, absolutely. So it depends on who you talk to, really. So people who look at it objectively say, all right, this is a guy who's been successful everywhere he's been. Notre Dame's in the best shape it's been in since Lou Holtz walked those sidelines. And that's because of Brian Kelly and what he was able to do in a place that's not typically easy to recruit high-level talent. So now he's in LSU, and you see what he's done with the recruiting class and the transfer portal. I mean, the recruiting class with the high school kids only ranked 13th. But when you take what he did with the transfer portal, right, that's amazing. I mean, that the composite ranking bumps him all the way to 6th. And then the big news out of the last couple of days is that Arch Manning is on the table, which was not the case before Brian Kelly walked in the door. And I think it's obviously not a done deal, and there's a long ways to go. So the kid still has to play his senior year in high school. Yeah. He's got to see how, I mean, if Brian Kelly has any shot at Arch Manning, it's also going to largely depend on how LSU performs on the field in the fall.
Well, we'll have to see how that comes about. I mean, he's jumped full bore into it, and I like the way that he's trying to embrace the culture and everything else. And you kind of have to do that. But we've also got LSU Tiger baseball coming up, and we talk on the program about the bookcase of accountability, which is to my right, and it has a ton of notes and all kinds of stuff on it. I hung this for baseball. I think 5 SEC teams are going to the College World Series, and LSU might be one of them.
It would shock me if we weren't in contention. LSU has the most preseason All-Americans with 3, Dylan Cruz, Trey Morgan, and Jacob Berry, who came from Arizona with Jay Johnson.
Yeah, that's a hell of a thing for the new coach. I'm going to bring an All-American with me from my old school. That's pretty impressive.
And then he brings in the pitching coach from Arizona State, his cross-state rival, who everybody loves. Everybody loves Jason Kelly. I got to talk to the pitchers, a couple of the pitchers at Media Day, and they just over the top excited about what he's brought to the program and how he's helped their game. So opening night tonight, Paul Maneri is going to throw out the first pitch and basically pass the torch on to Jay Johnson.
All right. Well, hey, man, as always, tell folks where they can find your the stuff that you put out there. It's at Da Boot Sports, right?
TheBootSports.com.
There you go. David writes stuff there covering the LSU beat, man. Hey, thanks for joining the program. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Rob. I appreciate you.
All right, man. Have a good day. All right, there you go. A little temperature check down there with the LSU fan base there.
Yeah.
In love with 2 new coaches right now, football and baseball, Levon.
But he just looked so – when he was trying to talk in that Southern accent, he just seemed very fake.
Fake? Yeah.
And I just don't like fake.
Well,
I mean, be yourself. I understand that he's trying to embrace it a little bit. I get that, but it just came across as phony.
Yeah, I can see that. And I tell you what, the other end of it too, though, when you look at it, there is I think that's going to eventually phase out. People will catch that eventually. So,
yeah, he can't keep it up.
Back out to the phones we go. Welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
Hey, guys. I want to ask a football question concerning Desean Watson.
Yeah.
Do you think the 2 off seasons and they're missing the entire season last year, will he ever play again? And if he does, will he kind of like be a boxer like an Ali or Tyson? When you miss that time, you can be in great shape, but not necessarily be in great football shape. Do you think he'll ever play again? And what do you think about that? I'm not trying to put you on the spot, Levon, but I know you're a big Clemson guy and played in the NFL. I want to get your perspective on it.
I think you are trying to put me on the spot here. No, thank you so much for the question. I think that he will get an opportunity as soon as he clears up all the legal trouble that's going on. I don't really know a whole lot about that, but I think if he can get that cleared up, I think that he's going to get right back on board. I think he's really young to be a quarterback.
Right.
I think he's maybe 20.
He's 26, I think.
He's 26. I can't believe he's that old, but
I got to check and make sure on that, but I think he's 26.
If he's 26, man, he can play for another 10 years and be a pretty solid player. He's definitely still in his prime. So once he catches on and he gets some OTAs and he also get the preseason camp, he's going to be just fine.
Yeah, but here's the other thing. There was a report that came out the other day that said that he had 2 teams on his radar. One of them being the Buccaneers, the other one being
the
Vikings.
Yes.
I just wonder if a team wants to take that firestorm on.
Yeah, I think if BA is still at Tampa Bay, he's going to bring him on. He's going to bring him on. Yeah.
So BA doesn't care about the off the field stuff as long as it's cleared up.
I think as long as it's cleared up, I don't think a lot of teams will mind then. I think you'll see a lot of teams maybe want to jump aboard, and you can handle the firestorm, especially if he plays well.
Okay, and you can tell me I'm being a little too forward with this question, but if you were advising Desean Watson, would you tell him shut up, pay up, and move on?
Wow, that's not really my expertise. But if I am the common sense guy, I probably would nudge that in his ear.
He may be able to go into court and get all of it, but you're going to have to basically drag yourself through the mud for it. And I think in the end, it's best to send out some NDAs.
Yeah.
And
But
I'm going to pay you and then
be,
go from there.
Would that be saying that you're guilty?
Ben Roethlisberger did it basically.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's a lot of stuff that was out there about Ben Roethlisberger, and he paid a lot of ladies off, and there was stuff said about stuff he did in bathrooms with people. So,
jeez, Louise.
I mean, I hate to be that way, but the reality is
that's a possibility, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
it's out there.
It's out there, but yeah, I hope he does get his chance to play because to me, he has that it factor, all those intangibles that you want from a quarterback position. He possesses those. And he was really becoming a star before all this stuff went down. Yeah. So you kind of, in a lot of ways, you want to see that, but then you don't. With all the things he's done with what they're saying, alleging him to do that he did with women. I mean, it's just messed up, and you don't want somebody out like that out on the streets at all.
All right, let's take one more call before we go to break here. Welcome into the Rundown. Good afternoon.
What's up, guys? Megan, enjoying the show as usual.
Well, thank you, sir.
Hey, I want to go back to Levon when you were talking about the combine, and it's certain things are just kind of uncomfortable, and I'm sure they are for the players. But I want you to know, even for the fans, what little bit they'll put some of that stuff on TV. Everyone I know is highly uncomfortable watching that stuff too.
Yeah, I'm telling you, as a player, I didn't really know better. And I didn't really know what was going to happen in the combine because back then you didn't really have all that kind of information, all that coverage. So you didn't really know what was going to go down. But then when you go, you're like, God, I can't wait to get out of here. I mean, it just felt like, ugh. I mean, you felt a little violated, but you did what you had to do to get to the level you had to get to. And you thought the combines was a part of it. Now, I just don't know if I'm going to the combine, especially if I'm a high pick. If I'm a first rounder, there's no way I'm going to the combine. There's no way. But I understand it. I mean, everybody feels a little uncomfortable. It's a little uncomfortable. It really is.
Yeah, I misspoke there. I said everyone I know is a little bit uncomfortable watching that. Something tells me Rob may enjoy it a little too much.
Now.
But here's what I want to know, and I am totally 100% ignorant when it comes to the players' union and what their powers are. Is that something they could kind of put their foot down and say, look, we understand you have to do some of this, but some of this is a little uncomfortable and it's a little bit over the top. Would they have any power in that realm or no?
I think that and I'm not really sure on this, but they're not players yet. They're not in the NFL yet. So
that's kind of the thing. They're not part of the union.
They're not part of the union yet. So they probably keep their hands off the draft. So they're not concerned about those guys. Once they come aboard, then you have concerns. But no, I think I don't know. I think it's something that maybe somebody. I don't like it. I just don't like the combines, and I was a part of the combines. I just don't like it. But I don't know what can you do to make it different, and I think it needs to be addressed.
Yeah. And I understand, look, as ordinary Joe Schmo, when I go to get insurance, I've got to be examined too. But at the same time, the level they take it, and I know they're making a lot more of an investment in you guys than they are in me, an insurance company. I mean, but some of that stuff, man, it's just tough to watch. It's very uncomfortable. And I totally understand.
And the thing is, it's for everybody to see. You're doing your insurance is usually probably private. You're talking with your doctor. It is not, you don't have 10 eyes on you. But if you're in the NFL combines, you got everybody looking at you. Your shirt off. I mean, basically just strutting your stuff. Yeah. I think that's tough. I really do.
I do too. I totally understand your attitude towards it. It would be mine as well. So I'll let you go, guys. Enjoy the show.
Appreciate it, man. All right. Don't forget, the Rundown, of course, is brought to you by Mazda of Columbia. MazdaofColumbia.com. If you need a car, go down there, buy a car. Better yet, go to MazdaofColumbia.com and you can look at the full inventory. Because lots of car dealerships right now, they don't have all of the cars that you want, okay? COVID has killed that. But you can go online and see what they've got at Mazda of Columbia right now and get the car you want. Even if you don't want a Mazda, you can go and find you something else. I was looking at a Jeep, a they had I think it was it a I can't remember what color it was, but they had a Jeep down there. And I'm like, I should just go and get that. And then I'm like, yeah, I can't do that. But you can if you because buying a car for me is a big deal, and I trust the folks at Mazda of Columbia. They'll take care of you, but I might go get that Jeep myself, LeVon. It may happen.
What kind of external? I mean, what's the color of it?
It's black.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
got to be a black Jeep.
Yeah,
it's got. Yeah. The only thing that may stop me though is if it's not manual, I don't want it. All right, quick break, and we come back. Well, more for you on the rundown. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. Yeah, if you don't have a manual on your Jeep, I don't.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you can't have a Jeep and it be an automatic.
Yeah, I can see your point.
The hell is that all about?
Yeah.
Can you drive? Can you drive a manual?
I cannot drive one.
We found something LeVon can't do.
Yeah, I could not drive one. I can always learn, but what's the point? But I wish I would have learned when I was younger, though. But
I figured up in Lamar, maybe you would have had a job up there where somebody would have taught you something with one of those. That's how I learned mine. I learned mine cutting tobacco and learned how to drive it. So,
I mean, I did the tobacco thing, but I never learned how to do it.
Man, that tobacco work is no joke.
It's kind of brutal.
It's brutal. You go out and you gotta cut the top of it off, then come back and then cut it and then spike it and then hang it in the barn.
Yeah, I was more of a hanger, so that was a dangerous job.
Yeah, if you're hanging up in the top of the barn, and you're on a 2x4, here, hand me these stalks of tobacco.
It really taught you focus and balance, my man.
Yeah, maybe that's what helped you a little bit. Who knows?
I think it did. Yeah, no question.
I'm all about no with that.
Yeah, I mean, but like I said, when you're younger, you're just trying to make a little bit of cash. I remember that's what you have available. Then you do what you have to do.
Well, I remember like when I was 15, we knew a farmer that was down the road, and he made me the head of one of his crews. And in 1994, he was paying me $15 an hour in the summertime, and I'm like making. And you work like 6 a.m. till 2 p.m.
Right.
I was making crazy money for a 15-year-old kid.
That's great money.
Cash money. Come on, man. That's the way to go.
You can't beat that.
Yeah. No, you can't do it. All right, let's go. Final segment here. But I ain't cutting no more tobacco. To hell with that.
No, there's got to be something else you can do.
Exactly.
Besides that job.
Welcome back to the rundown. We're discussing the fact that I used to cut tobacco when I was a kid. LeVon did the same thing, but yeah, it's not. I don't want to do that anymore. My goodness. Yeah. All right. Well, we're brought to you by Mazda of Columbia, MazdaofColumbia.com. Thank them for sponsoring the show. Go and order a car. You can actually order it. Just go get on the website, figure out the one you want, and they'll call you back and square you away. All right, LeVon, we've got this weekend. There's not a lot of talk about it, but they've got the NBA All-Star game, and it's not as shiny as it used to be. It really isn't.
No, it's not. I think that the dunk contest used to be the thing, right?
Yeah, and it's not so much.
It's not so much anymore. 3-point contest is still kind of intriguing in a lot of ways. Yeah, it really. I didn't even know that the All-Star game was going to be this weekend until somebody reminded me that it was. Yeah. And I used to be a big time.
Oh yeah,
a big time basketball guy.
It used to be like the thing.
It used to be the event. Yeah.
Now it's just garbage.
Yeah.
So I was trying to find something for folks to watch this weekend, and I mean that's. Maybe this is the weekend you do all the stuff on the honeydew list.
Maybe you unwind from the Super Bowl hype that you had the week before.
Yeah.
You spend a little time with the family and do some honeydew lists, like you said.
Well, you got the USFL coming up. That's launching very, very soon.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to watch some of that. I mean,
I will be too.
I'll watch it. I remember like when they had the XFL, and I would go to the gym on Sundays, and that time in the gym, you look up and you got a football game going on in the spring. That's pretty good.
Yeah. And I thought the XFL was pretty good.
It was pretty good. I mean, COVID killed it.
Killed it, but it was pretty good football. It wasn't bad.
Yeah, but the USFL, they're apparently going to get going here, and someone said that Kelly Bryant might be playing for a team. I don't know.
Oh wow! But the only thing about those kind of leagues, though, you have to understand that when people say, "Oh, you're developing yourself to go to the NFL," no, you're not, because the NFL already has a development league. It's called the NCAA. They already have. They're not going to pay money for another league to play.
I remember the XFL, wasn't it what Charlie Maddox or whatever his name was, the guy that was the champion in the original XFL? He went on to play for the Steelers and got.
You're going to have one guy or two guys.
Rod Smart played for the Panthers.
You're going to have one or two guys, but it's not a development league for the NFL. 99% of those guys will not be moving on and getting their big chance in the NFL like you think about the majors. You think about, I'm moving up to the show. And it's a possibility because you know what? Those teams actually invest in those Class A teams. NBA invests in the G League.
Right.
The NFL, they did do it for Europe one point in time. Then it's just like, you know what? Let's get out of that business. We're in our development squad is definitely the NCAA. If you don't get it done there, then you're not going to be going into the league.
Quick comment from Jay. We were talking about cutting tobacco. He says, I started throwing watermelons, cantaloupes, and hanging tobacco at 12 all summer long. Yeah, I did the throwing watermelons too. To heck with that. 3 summers was rough. Learned a lot about myself and what I didn't want out of life. I think we all had those jobs, man.
Yeah.
They were just tough. But you did learn a lot about yourself.
Yeah. You learned that you didn't want to do that the rest of your life.
You learned you want to pay attention in history class and English and everything else.
Maybe that college thing is not a bad thing. Yeah.
My favorite story about something like that is Lawton Swan, who's next, by the way, with Clemson Sports Talk. He is the czar of Clemson sports.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
Swan had a summer where he put together Coke machines at a factory near Barnwell.
Okay.
And, you're out there putting all this aluminum and bending all that together. And he's like, yeah, I think I want to go to Clemson.
Yeah, I want to do something with my life.
Yeah. All right. Follow Levon on Facebook. All kinds of great stuff there. Look for him there. Levon Kirkland joining us on the program. I think he's going to be writing some stuff for the blog page. We're going to work that out. So
definitely so.
Some player ratings. What do you think about X player here and Y player there? So we'll get into that. Thanks for joining us on the Rundown. We'll be back at it on Monday here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you later.